As the relationship got worse between Jacob and Laban, God told Jacob in a dream to go back to Canaan. So Jacob ran away against all odds. Rachel left too, but she stole Laban's gods. When Laban found out, he chased them down. He searched their tents, but nothing was found. Rachel had sat on them, but he never knew, because she used her menstrual as an excuse not to move. After constant arguing, they needed a solution, so they built a monument and came to a conclusion. They promised never to hurt one another, and Jacob promised not to mistreat Laban's daughters. So Laban set off and left the next day, and they named the place Gilead for the witness that was made. Jacob left and sent messengers to Esau his brother. They sent him cattle, hoping their relationship would recover. Jacob divided his people and possessions out of fear. After relocating his family, a strange man would appear. Jacob wrestled with the man until the break of dawn. The man displaced Jacob's hip, but Jacob still won. The man blessed Jacob and made Israel his new name. The place was named Peniel, for Israel had seen God's face. Esau and Israel finally met face to face. They wept with joy as they both embraced. They both traveled to Seir, but Israel's troops took longer, for Esau's men were more healthy and stronger. Israel finally arrived at Canaan, where he bought some land. He built an altar up to God for his unchanging hand. One day Shechem raped Dinah, Jacob's daughter. Then he fell in love and wanted to wife her. Shechem begged and pleaded to make her his wife. Jacob finally agreed as long as their men were circumcised. But Levi and Simeon still felt angry and bitter. They just couldn't let a rapist run off with their sister. So Jacob's sons murdered all of Hamor's men. Then they rescued Dinah and killed Hamor and Shechem. They proceeded to destroy the rest of their city, and they even took their wives and children into captivity. Jacob traveled to Bethel and built an altar that day. Then Rebekah's nurse Deborah sadly passed away. God reaffirmed that Israel was Jacob's new name, and he also proclaimed prosperity and financial gain. When they left Bethel, Rachel went into labor. After giving birth, it was too late to save her. Before she died, she named her son. First it was Benoni, but Israel changed it to Benjamin. Israel set up a pillar to mark her grave. Along the road of Bethlehem is where it remains. Altogether, Israel had 12 sons and 4 wives, but Reuben slept with Bilhah, his father's concubine. Israel visited his father Isaac in his last days. Then Isaac passed away at 180 years of age. Esau had 3 wives from the land of Canaan: Adah, Basmath, and Aholibamah, daughter of Zebulun. Esau's family moved to Seir as they needed more land. His wives reproduced, and they continued to expand. Now, as Joseph got older and older with time, his relationship with his family has slowly declined. You see, Joseph was hated by most of his brothers because their father Israel loved him more than the others. Joseph envisioned leadership and authority in his dreams, but as he told his family, their resentment increased. So Israel sent Joseph to look after his brethren. Little did he know they were plotting to kill him. When Reuben found out they wanted Joseph dead, he persuaded them to toss him in a cistern instead. But as a group of traders were passing by, they sold their brother Joseph to the Ishmaelites. Then they dipped his coat in the blood of a goat, and when their father asked, they said they didn't know. While their father mourned, thinking his son had died, Joseph was sold to Potiphar by the Midianites. Judah departed from his brothers and married Shua. Together they gave birth to Onan, and Shelah. Was the oldest and had Tamar as his wife, but when he offended God, it cost him his life. Now since Onan was the very next son in line, he slept with Tamar to keep his brother's line alive. But when Onan knew that the child wouldn't be his, he spilled his semen so that she wouldn't have kids. Since he disobeyed and didn't follow the rules, just like his brother God killed him too. A few years later, as time passed by, Shelah grew up, but his mom Shua died. The loss of his wife made Judah weep. After mourning her, he went to shear the sheep. Tamar followed Judah, hoping to reproduce, but with a veil on her face, he thought she was a prostitute. After searching for months, their search came to an end. They realized it was Tamar and wanted her condemned. But she wasn't alone. She was pregnant with twins, and Judah felt bad once he realized they were his. When she was giving birth, out came a hand, so they marked it by tying on a red strand. But remarkably, he put his hand right back in. That's when his brother Perez emerged from within. Finally, with the red thread still on his hand, Zerah was then born into the land. Now back to Joseph, who was taken by the Ishmaelites, but surprisingly in Egypt, he was doing quite fine. Potiphar put Joseph in charge of all his affairs, and their kingdom was blessed because Joseph was there. Until one individual tried to destroy his life. That person just so happened to be Potiphar's wife. She pestered him to sleep with her day after day, and though he stood his ground, she wouldn't go away. She tried to sleep with him again while they were all alone, so he ran out the house, but he left his coat. Now, of course, she wasn't going to tell the truth. She said he tried to rape her and used his coat as proof. Potiphar believed her and put Joseph in jail, but since God was with him, he still prevailed. His relationship with the guards was pretty great. They even put him in charge of the other inmates. One day the Pharaoh's cupbearer and baker had disobeyed, so he threw them in the jail where Joseph stayed. They both had dreams, but no one could interpret them, except for Joseph, so they told their dreams to him. After interpreting their dreams, he asked for a simple favor, for them to tell Pharaoh about his good behavior. Later on, Joseph's interpretations came true, but unfortunately they never gave Pharaoh his news.